Brandon, with the club only a half game back of the Yankees, is there any sort of whatever the 2020 version is of scoreboard watching going on right now?
Well, I think we're focused on the Orioles right now, and we need to win as many games as possible. I'd be lying to say if I didn't know what was going on around the league, if I didn't watch highlights at night and check scores and watch MLB Network the next day just to see what's happening. But no, I mean, I think our main focus, it doesn't matter what the league does if we don't win. So our focus is on us trying to win as many games as possible, try to win tonight. And, we're still at a one game at a time mentality and focusing on what we need to do.
Next up, Rich Dubroff.
Brandon, speaking of that, I mean, not only are you half game behind the Yankees, you're only a game behind Houston. With having such a competitive team and a competitive record, would you now be disappointed if the team didn't qualify for the postseason?
I'd be disappointed if we don't play well the rest of the year. And I think whatever happens, happens. Obviously would love for our team to continue to experience these games that matter the last 2 weeks. I think we're going to gain a lot of these guys that haven't been in this situation. We don't have many in that room that have been in a pennant race. So I think that continuing to play games that matter is really beneficial for our guys. But there's still a lot of baseball for me to be played, and there's still a lot of teams that are right there also. And we have a very difficult schedule going forward. And I just want us to see us continue to play good baseball the rest of the way.
Stan Charles, go ahead.
Brandon, there's a couple teams out there in, say, the San Diegos and the White Sox that are better than people thought, but they had a chance to be pretty good. And then there are teams like the Marlins, the Mariners, and the Orioles that somehow this type of truncated season seems to have helped. And it seems to have something to do with playing younger players. You care to comment on that?
Well, I don't think our numbers lie. I think we're having some pretty good offensive years. I think our guys we have a lot of guys that have been swinging the bat well. I think our bullpen has improved from last year dramatically. I think we've gotten really good starting pitching, especially the last couple weeks. And you add that up, and that's a pretty good club. I really can't speak for the other teams, to be honest with you. I think that, I know a little bit about some of those teams. San Diego is extremely talented. They've got really good starting pitching, and then they add Clevenger, but they got really, really talented position players. The White Sox, I felt like went for it this last offseason and signed a lot of really good veteran players to go along with their youth with Eloy and Robert, et cetera. So I think that you're talking about some pretty good, talented clubs. But I think that we're probably the most inexperienced out of any of teams we're talking about, and that a lot of our guys haven't had a year service time or very, very little bit of service time. And I think we've gotten contributions from a number of people, and we've had some young guys come here that have performed well, especially these last 2 weeks. That've given us a nice boost, and Mountcastle, DJ, Keegan, Kramer, etc. So I think that it's fun to watch our young guys step in, and we lose a guy like Santander, who's arguably I think he's leading the league in RBIs, and then we lose him, but then DJ steps in, next guy up kind of mentality. Mountcastle's hit since he's gotten here. So I think that we've got some talented guys, along with some guys that have had some really good years over the course of these first 40-something games, with guys like Iglesias and Sevy and Nooney, our bullpen. Rio Ruiz starting to swing the bat again. That's nice to see. So, I think we've been playing pretty good baseball, and I'm excited about how our guys have competed up until this point.
Next up is Dan Connolly.
Hey, Brandon, we keep talking about the energy and the attitude and such, but getting to 500 and maybe getting ahead of 500, does that mean anything as far as the mentality goes in this, or is it all just about eye on the prize, every day and that kind of stuff?
It is really about just every day for me. I mean, I don't. I think we came into this short season with not really knowing what to expect, not knowing what teams were going to look like. Really focused on us and focus on, Mike's been really transparent about adding as much talent into the organization as possible, and that's been our mindset. And he's done an amazing job of doing that these first couple years, and developing the guys that we have. And I think we've done that fairly well. We're still trying to develop the guys that are the young players that we have on our team right now, as well as the guys that are at our secondary site that we're really excited about. But yeah, right now we're less than 20 games to go. We're hovering around 500, and just like to see us play well these last few weeks.
Go ahead, John Mioli.
Brandon, given that we're talking about all this stuff and starting to ask playoff type questions again, last time this came up, you basically said that you would start thinking about that when you guys were in the position you are and you could see the finish line. Can you see the finish line right now?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, yes, and that we're less than 3 weeks away, but I still know that we still have a long way to go also. There's still a lot of games to be played. We're still playing really good teams. So yeah, I mean, I obviously would love to play well and have these guys experience, a postseason, what that feels like. I think that would be an incredible achievement for the guys in our clubhouse. So I mean, really, I am just taking this day to day, to be honest with you, and try to win tonight and wake up tomorrow and see where we are, and continue to do that for the next 3 weeks.
Next up is Jerry Beach. Jerry.
Sorry about that. Do you think it's easier? You guys, like I said earlier, aren't the only surprise team this year. Do you think it's easier for a team that maybe didn't have a lot of outside expectations to build and sustain momentum in this season, as opposed to the teams who've gotten into a little bit of a funk and are having a hard time getting out of it? Those teams, I should say, that had higher expectations coming into the year, and they know they only got a little bit of time to get it together. Do you think you're at an advantage? Teams like yourselves, the Mariners, an advantage, because you didn't have a lot expect of you, and you're just kind of riding a wave right now?
I don't want to discount what our team has done. I don't think that's fair to our guys, to be honest with you. I know it's a short season. I get it. There's other teams. Everybody else is playing the same schedule we are. So I don't want to discount that our guys have played well. And just because it's a short season and we might be surprising teams, that this is why our record is what it is. That's not fair to our guys for me.
I didn't mean to say that it was not reflective of how well you played, just that you've gotten hot and got some momentum. And do you think it's easy?
I don't think we've gotten that hot, to be honest with you.
No?
Won 4 in a row.
Well, 6 out of 8 against some pretty good teams. I just wondered, do you think in your position, I know you can't speak for other teams, in your position, is it easier when it's rolling downhill this way than it would be if you're a team that had higher outside expectations or made the playoffs last year, and now all of a sudden that team is scuffling, and it doesn't have a lot of time to repair it. It doesn't have a lot of time to kind of figure out what's going on, as opposed to just kind of you're having a good run and you're enjoying it, and let's just keep playing and see what happens.
Kind of not following you, but I think that if you roll into a season with high expectations and you don't play very well, I think that's always difficult. I think that if you're a team like us that doesn't have a lot of experience and maybe has lower expectations from people around the league and play well, I think that's very, very positive.
Next up is Jeff Arnold.
Hey, Brandon. What have you been seeing out of Rio Ruiz over the last week and just how his swing has developed and how he's getting back on track?
Well, I think what you see is, the last 3 or 4 games, getting some base hits the other way. Really staying on the ball. Even that ball to center, Mrisnik made a really nice play in center field. Stayed on that so nicely, line drive to the middle of the field, but the base hit the other way early. I just feel like at times he was going through a rough patch where he got really pull conscious and was trying to really start to try to generate to the pull side. And for me, his game is gap to gap with some power when he catches it out in front. And it's really nice to see him go back to that these last handful of games with a lot of base hits against the shift, a lot of base hits to the shortstop side, which means he's staying on the baseball. And that, for me, that's been the difference in the adjustment that he's made this last week over kind of a tough couple weeks he had there, a tough couple week stretch.
All right, back to John Mioli.
Brandon, anything you can share about when you might expect to be getting Hayes, Armstrong, Cobb back?
Cobb, we are hoping by the end of this week. Hayes was going to take at bats today, but I think they got rain in Bowie, so he should take a week or so of at bats and then be back with us hopefully. And Armstrong started to throw again, and we're hoping that he'll join us by the end of the season sometime.
All right, back to Jeff Arnold.
Brandon, can you talk about what you're hoping to see from Lopez in this last outing? I mean, he threw well in his first couple starts with you guys, but what are you continuing to try and see from him as he tries to take steps forward in his third start?
I've been impressed with Georgie, pitching on this day too with with Roberto Clemente. I know how special this today means for him. I was talking to him about it yesterday during batting practice. He's so excited to pitch on this special day. But yeah, just watching him pitch his last 2 starts, love his competitiveness. It's what we saw in Kansas City last year against us. I think he's got a starting pitcher's profile where he's 6'5", 6'6", mid-90s, got secondary pitches, really like the competitiveness. I think he's only going to improve. I know he's so appreciative of this opportunity and wants to prove people wrong. And he's done that the last 2 starts, and hopefully he pitches like that the rest of the way.